shows how authentic he is. Because imagine you got revelation and he came and said, "Yeah, I've just been chosen as a prophet."
Yes.
It's the fact that he's questioning shows his authenticity, because he's like, do you get what I'm trying to say? There's no arrogance of, yeah, I got chosen. It's like, did I see it? What's going on? Help me.
Exactly. There's a vulnerability to it, and then Khadijah took him to Waraq ibn Nawf. So who done that one? The third one.
That's second one.
The second.
Oh, sorry, second one.
No, I think
That is the third one, no?
Yes, the third one.
it was these.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So who done the second one? Okay, go on.
Yeah, I think you covered most of it.
Yeah,
I
sorry
think
about
one
that.
aspect which it was good. It's better that
Yeah.
way. But one aspect maybe is from us learning from his Sirah and how we can implement it is that he was human and that he had these emotions, and it's someone we can relate to. And we discussed how seeing something like an angel in that atmosphere, you're gonna be so scared and shiver, like you'll be trembling. Like we've seen some videos on YouTube. They try and do some AI of what angels might look like from a biblical source, and it looked really scary from that perspective. Not saying that it would look like that, but you can imagine seeing it. So it's something that we can relate to. And the Prophet, at the end of the day, he's not an angel; he's a human, and we have to learn how the best of humans were. So just trying to think of it from that lesson, that he was emotional, and then how we can kind of implement this. So. But I think you covered most of it in terms of like read, and in terms of the other aspects of like hubris, I'm a prophet and stuff like this. Yeah.
And there's a lot of that in the Quran. Like if you in Surah Al-Kahf, when it says that if you had seen them, لَوَلَّيْتَ مِنْهُمْ فِرَارًا وَلَمِئْتُ مِنْهُمْ رَعْبًا. If you had seen these people in the cave, you would have run away from them in terror.
Really?
Yeah, Allah is saying that to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
Seen who?
The people in the cave in Surah Al-Kahf.
Oh,
in chapter 18 of the Quran. Why? Because the way
Syria was somehow very threatening.
There's different theories as to why, but like these people had looked like they had died, in the cave. Allah has moved them bodies so that they don't get burnt by the sun and all this kind of thing. But the shahid here that I'm bringing to you is that Allah he humanizes the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Like in the beginning of the surah, he mentions that. In the end of the surah, he says, "Qul innama ana basharun mithlukum yuha ilayya innama ilahukum ilahun wahid." Say, I'm a human being just like you, and that I'm just revealing to you that God is one God. Yani. So the point I'm making is that this is an authentic marker. The vulnerability of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is being manifest. His fear, his trepidation, his worry, like it's mentioned in a very authentic. It's not heroic light. It's showing you the human side rather than the as you mentioned, like a Superman, or it's not like that. Is there any other points?
I think while Prophet ﷺ was returning from the cave to his house, in the way he saw the Jibreel in his actual form. Yeah,
in the horizon.
Yeah, in the horizon, and that also increased his fear. Somehow to see the angel with all its wings and from one horizon to another one, the whole area was covered, and he was calling on him. Anta Rasulullah, Anta Rasulullah. He was coming down.
I mean, that whole experience, no one can lie and say that this is... And it's a desolate place, like, especially at night and stuff. Imagine how this would have looked. Imagine how that would have looked. You're by yourself. That's scary, man. That is scary. I don't care what anyone says. I've been to that place. And I've been there with hundreds of people, actually thousands of people, because everyone was feeling that. Imagine by myself in this place, I would be very, very scared. Yeah. Like anyone would be like, that is... especially when it's dark and you're by yourself and you're seeing creatures. Sorry to say, but it's kind of like a horror film. Yeah. It is like a horror film.
And one thing as well, touching on Khadijah and her role in this, the amount of faith she had in the Prophet and the belief, and how she mentioned some of the things like the honourable rankings and the traits of the Prophet, and this just shows the ranking of Khadijah as well, and the honour that she has as well. I think that needs to be discussed as
absolutely. That you are the one who joins the ties of kinship, and you help the destitute, and you...
She didn't think he was schizophrenic or he was seeing things.
No, Allah will never
that's interesting though, because she is...
forsake you.
I find that Hadith very, very interesting in this part, because it's like she's affirming by a few characteristic traits that, because the Prophet came and said, I think I've lost my mind.
Let's take a look at those traits actually.
Yeah, look at it, because it's so profound, because to me it's like Khadijah has prior knowledge, and knows that, and she says Allah will never disgrace you because you have A, B, C, D, and it's like, it's not a matter of like you pray Salah. I know it wasn't revealed then, but she mentions certain characteristic traits, And to me, it's very.
These are the
profound.
characteristic traits.
Yeah.
And she says, Allah will never disgrace you. You uphold the ties of kinship. You speak truthfully. You help the poor and destitute. You serve your guests generously. And you assist those who are stricken by calamity. Which shows you that there was a fitrah. Like they understood by fitrah what was good morality.
Exactly.
These are good things to do in society. You're doing them.
Exactly. And not only that, Ibn Taymiyyah says, for example, even if a kuffar government, if they are just, Allah will give them victory. Oh, I don't know if he says over believing nation, like Muslims, but the matter of justice is so profound, because what is the greatest justice in Islam? Tawheed. The greatest oppression is what? Shirk. So it's very interesting that this thing of notion of justice is mentioned here and there, and is connected to success.
Yes, absolutely. And she mentioned 4 very powerful traits. Shows you how consoling she was to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. How good of a woman she was to him. And why, like, to be honest, you know your friends and your close people on the time of the shada'id, of the calamities. That's why Allah says in the Quran, أَلَا فِي الْفِتْنَةِ سَقَطُوا. That certain people in difficulties, they dropped. Effectively, سَقَطُوا, they dropped. And when the difficulty comes, they drop. So he had such a connection with Khadijah because of how she was with him in the times of difficulty. Difficulty is what shows you the worth of people, effectively. That's what it is.
Shows how supportive she was, because
Yes.
for a long time he was away
Yes.
in the cave, and when he returned, in today's world, women will say, "Where have you been? You left me alone for a long time, and you return." And she gave him support. This is very wise, and this is very full of wisdom.
There is one more point as well of driving you out of your land and people.
Yes.
The Waraqah he predicted. Yeah.
No, yeah, that's the third one. If you can make.
This is my third is my point. That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Go on. Make the point. Make one.
By the way, I was sitting here, it changed, so that's why.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah,
Okay,
so
fine,
this
fine,
third is my section. Okay.
Should we get started with the third one then?
No, inshallah, we can continue the second one. Sorry. Let's continue.
I think the second one now is finished. So let's start with the third one. I'll start with you and go on.
So the key point I'm taking from here is bringing forward truth, and there have been a number of theories on how truth is accepted. First, it's been ridiculed. Second, people fight it. Third, people accept it. So if any stage you stop, then it's your fault, not people's fault. And if you study people who brought like truth and new messages, the same thing happened to them. So Waraqah predicted that, and he did tell him, "This is what's gonna happen to you. If that happens, I will be by your side if I'm gonna live that long." So that's something, the prediction was already given to him. And second, the question is, did he die as a Muslim, or did he die as a non-Muslim? That's
A lot of scholars say he died as a Muslim.
As a Muslim, yeah.
Because the thing is,
He had the intention.
exactly,
Because of intention, he will be
exactly, because he said, if I was to live, I would support
I
you.
will support.
Yeah.
Because he already believed that he will be
And
a prophet.
there's a discussion among scholars by the opposite, by the way. So, for example,
Really?
if someone has the intention to leave Islam, the majority of scholars say they've already left.
Yes, because every
Yeah.
action is based on his intention.
Yeah, so if someone says, okay, like for example, there was a particular woman that after Andrew Tate became Muslim, she said, very famously on Twitter, she came out and she goes, if he becomes Muslim, I'm going to leave. Or something like that, or if he's a Muslim, I'll leave, or something like that. A lot of scholars would say she's already left. Yeah, like this is an important principle of like, if you have an intention to go in, it's the same thing of like having intention to come out. So these are both important. Let's go to the third one again. So who else has got anything with the third one?
I found it interesting that
Yes.
Waraqah bin Nawfal mentioned Musa before Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
And the brother was explaining that potentially Waraqah bin Nawfal believed that Jesus was divine, some sort of divinity attributed to him, and that he didn't believe he was a prophet.
He didn't believe in that because he was muwahhid and he believed in one God.
Not a god,
Yeah.
but not a prophet.
He was in the middle. He didn't believe that he was only prophet. He didn't believe that he was God.
See, that's the thing. We don't know
Therefore,
much
he
about him.
differed that.
But where's
Yeah.
the evidence? Do we have any evidence?
This is a scholar opinion.
It's written that he became Christian.
Yeah,
He was
yeah.
Christian.
But at that time,
He
he
was
had
a
some
Jew rabbi.
Unitarian
No, he was
Christians.
Christian. He converted to Christianity. There were three guys. There were three friends. One was Zayd ibn Amr ibn Nufail, Warqa ibn Nufail.
He was Christian, but it's,
Yeah,
the
and there was
question is of whether he was a Unitarian or not. That's the question. Because a lot of scholars say, well, Waraqah is one of those people that was min al-Hunafa and so on and so forth.
Hunafa was Zayd ibn Amr ibn Nufail, not
Yeah.
the.
There is a discussion. We'll look into it like we did last time, and I'll see what I find. But for sure, some say that he did become Muslim as a result of how he responded to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Why did he mention Musa alayhi salam and not Jesus? A lot of people say it was because the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam actually he resembles Moses more than he does Jesus.
Deuteronomy 18:18.
Yeah, there's that. There's like the predictions, but also the fact that they both became prophets at 40, that they both had a community of people that they were
both went to war,
pushing, and they both went to war and all this kind of thing. So Moses was the best example to use in this situation, because a lot of the stuff that happened to Moses would happen to Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. It wouldn't be the kind of like Jesus alayhi salam, according to even our narratives, he didn't live as similar a life to the Prophet than Moses did. In terms of leading the people in war, he didn't lead people in war.
He would call him Akhi Musa.
Yeah.
Sometimes he would call him Akhi Musa.
Really?
Yeah.
Very good point. Okay, so these are the three things, and the Prophet ﷺ, at the end of it says that he was filled with grief because of the cessation of the revelation. And we're near the end of the episode, but on this point, there is a shubha. There is a difference. There's a what do you call it, like a doubt or something, which people say, well, this is a hadith. Let me read it out for you first. It says this. Az-Zuhri basically narrates that the Prophet Muhammad he narrates that the Prophet Muhammad said that, speaking of that period when the revelation ceased, whilst I was walking, I heard a voice from the sky. I looked up and saw the angel who came down had come to me in Hira, sitting on a chair between the heavens and the earth. This is what you mentioned before. And then he said, I felt scared of him. So I came home and I said, cover me. Okay. This one is that's actually what you mentioned, yeah? You've already mentioned that, so that's good. Then Allah told the Prophet Muhammad, because we had Iqra, which was the personal revelation of the Prophet Muhammad. Then you had Al-Muddathir. يا أيها المدثر قم فأنذر وربك فكبر وثيابك فطهر والرجز فاهجر ولا تمنن فاستكثر. Chapter 74, verses 1-5. Which is now the Prophet ﷺ is being told to go and warn the community. Okay. Which is, going back to the first point, is why they say نُبِّئَ بِإِقْرَأ وَأُرْسِلَ بِالْمُدَّثِرِ. That the Prophet ﷺ, he was made a prophet with Iqra, and then he's made the messenger with Al-Muddathir. Az-Zuhri says that Aisha states that I'm going to read it out, that she said, the revelation ceased for a while, for so as long as the Prophet ﷺ became sad. According to the reports that have reached us, he was so sad that on several occasions he wanted to throw himself from the top of the high mountains. But every time he went to the top of the high mountain in order to throw himself down from it, Jibreel appeared to him and said, "O Muhammad, you are truly the messenger of Allah," and he would calm down as a result and feel ease, and he would go back. And when the revelation had ceased for a long time, he would do the same thing again. Now, with this particular hadith, the following has been said. Ibn Hajar mentions that the ones who say that according to the reports that have reached us is Az-Zuhri. So Az-Zuhri is making these claims. Now in hadith sciences, this is referred to as a mudraj hadith, where effectively the statements of the tabi'een and or the sahaba are mixed with the overall saying. So Ibn Hajar is saying that this is not something that Aisha said, that this is something Az-Zuhri presumed, and he was saying this. So yes, you'll find this hadith in Bukhari, but Ibn Hajar al-Asqalani, as you know, he's probably the foremost authority when it comes to explaining Bukhari. He said that this is not a hadith, or this information is not from Aisha radiallahu anha herself. In fact, it's from Az-Zuhri. And this is what's been mentioned by other scholars as well. But let's say for the sake of argument, that's not the case.
So one second, let's establish, is
Yes.
it authentic?
Hadith is authentic, but the hadith is Bukhari, I just read out.
Yeah.
However, the edition which talks about throwing himself off, Ibn Hajar and others are saying this is not from the words of Aisha. She's not narrating this. This is from the words of...
So then it's not
added.
connected. How is it authentic if it's not connected to his wife? Or
No, so the point is that whether it's connected or not, by the way, that's another question. Some scholars say it's not even connected. Like you have mu'allaqat and stuff, like the hadiths that are not connected, right? That's another question. Albani, for example, comes out and says, oh, this hadith is not even connected. The fact that's in Bukhari doesn't matter and whatever. Because in Bukhari, you got 7,000 of hadith. 1,000 of them, or maybe less, are mu'allaq. So the question is, some muhaddis asked the question, are the mu'allaq hadith or the hadith which are not connected actually part of al-Bukhari's framework or not? That's a different question. There's the primary question is to say that this hadith is narrated by Zuhri, Abu Shihab al-Zuhri, who's a huge figure, by the way, in hadith. And he was the one who was commissioned in the 2nd century AD by the government to do tadween of the sunnah, actually. He was the one who's commissioned to write down and compile the sunnah. He was one of the first state attempt, actually the first state attempt that I know of, where the government, the Islamic government, had told anybody to compile the sunnah was at the hands of this big, huge scholar, Abu Shihab al-Zuhri.